And today, President Biden talked about the inflation crisis with the chair of the Federal Reserve, saying the independent institution is laser focused on bringing down these record high prices. Right now, the cost of food up nearly 11%, the largest increase over a year since 1980. We're all still feeling the sting of these costs, especially if you live in a state like California, where the average price of a gallon of gas is over $6. But this is not just a coastal problem. It's creeping inward. Some of our landlocked states can expect to see yet another jump in gas prices. And NewsNation correspondent Paul Gerke is live for us in New Jersey with what we can expect, Paul.
Nicole, we can expect more high prices. Right now, in fact, in 7 different states, the average for a gallon of regular unleaded is more than $5. That's hard to believe. And if you're watching from somewhere where the practice known as price cycling is common, you're probably shaking your fist at the screen right now because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Fuel pricing analysts often take time to bake in changes to the market. And because of the Memorial Day weekend and because of some rising crude prices last week, those prices are just taking effect in some major places now. So if you live in Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, or parts of Illinois, West Virginia, or Florida, you have probably seen it today. If gas prices haven't already gone up in your neighborhood, they probably will, somewhere between 20 and 40 cents. Nicole, I've got a source in southeastern Michigan. He also happens to be my dad. He tells me gas prices there went from $4.37 to $4.79 overnight. Michigan practices price cycling. Instead of those small fluctuations you might see on a daily basis, gas stations will ignore them for often weeks at a time and then pass along the changes all at once. But that can actually be a good thing, as Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy explains.
Can often actually lead to lower prices. That is, it forces competition. There are much more aggressive decreases in those markets. The problem is getting the timing right. But that's why some of the states are making a big jump up, because they haven't gone up in potentially several weeks. And now, because of a huge increase in the wholesale price of gasoline, we're now at an inflection point where they basically have to pass along a big increase because they've ignored it for the last 2 weeks.
Heading into Memorial Day weekend, the average of a gallon of gas nationally was $4.59. That's the highest it's been since 2012. Today, the AAA price is $4.62, and our friends over at Gas Buddy expect it to reach $4.70 in the coming days. And there's no end in sight either. We just got some news about the European Union clamping down on ensuring Russian ships moving gas into Europe. And China's coming out of another COVID lockdown, Nicole, so that's going to increase demand, and prices are going to keep increasing.
Yeah, getting really tough for a lot of American families now. All right, Paul, thank you. We're here to break down the rising inflation costs is biz and tech journalist Shibani Joshi. Shibani, thank you so much for being with us.
Hi there, Nicole.
So we're talking about these rising gas prices. They just seem to keep going up and up. We have this record inflation. President Biden meeting today with the Fed chair saying he's going to maintain this hands-off approach. Shibani, is that the right strategy at this point?
Hi there, Nicole. Well, it's really the only option that he has. The Federal Reserve, the central bank, like many other central banks around the world, is in fact an independent government agency. Even though former President Trump did call out the Fed and even was critical of the Fed, most presidents tend to allow the Fed to do what it's supposed to do because that is its mandate. It's been given a mandate by Congress, and it's accountable to Congress and the public, and given a dual mandate of maximum employment while stabilizing prices. And so the reason Biden is giving this affirmation to its independence is because it is independent, and it has remained independent to keep it out of the sway and the influence of different political agendas.
All right, so that obviously makes sense there. But meantime, the president is unveiling his own 3-point plan in an op-ed today, which includes addressing what he's calling, quote, outrageous unfairness in the tax code that allows a billionaire to pay lower rates than a teacher or a firefighter. But on the other hand, Republican lawmakers criticize the president's nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package from last year as pumping way too much money into the economy, causing even more inflation. So, Shibani, will potentially raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations really help bring down inflation?
Well, look, Nichole, all of those points are valid about pumping out money, as well as our tax structure and our tax code needing some revamping here. The best cure for inflation is solid monetary policy, and that is what the Fed is charged to do. When you do things like increase taxes, yes, you might get more of a budget surplus to the government, and you tax people like Jeff Bezos and a lot of the other billionaires out there who seem to have lower tax bills and a lot of even lower income people, is that, Biden really has an inflation problem, not a taxation problem. And so this problem has been caused by things like pumping money into the economy, low interest rates, supply chain issues, and then rising demand that was just pent up from the pandemic. Increasing taxes is not going to actually solve those problems. And if you think about it, it actually has the potential to decrease demand and decrease the growth and rate of acceleration of the economy, Nichole, because if a company, for example, like Apple is dealing with a higher tax rate, what it's going to end up doing is increase the price of its iPhones. And then you and I are going to pay more for our Apple iPhones and Apple products. And that's going to cause us to buy fewer Apple products. And that is going to slow the rate of the economy. So all the smartest people out there, the smartest economists say solid monetary policy is really the way to fix what we have going on in the economy right now.
Well, you see, you explain it so well. I think that's something that we can all understand. And speaking of that relief, which is really what people want, so the president announced a plan to tap into the strategic reserve as a way to alleviate these rising gas prices. But since then, as we have been reporting on pretty much daily, they've only gotten higher, those prices. So if that's not the answer, what else can be done?
Yeah, I saw, Paul, that report, him in New Jersey. I'm in California, and we are reaching near $7 a gallon for gas prices. And all the experts out there say, we are in the peak season of gas consumption. It is only going to go higher. The president did release strategic reserves back in March. And if you look at the numbers there, it was somewhere around 30 million barrels. And on average, we consume 20 million barrels of petroleum products per day. So he just released 1.5 days really of strategic reserves here. There are experts out there that say that there are smaller levers that can be pulled, a temporary gas holiday, increasing the strategic reserves. But really, if you think about it, the long-term solution to our gas price situation and the pain that we're feeling at the pump includes increasing oil production and as well as just investing in alternative energy sources. And all of this is just going to take time.
Yeah, we certainly need to figure it out. All right, Shivani Joshi, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.